what we found out is whatever age you tend to start using, you kind of get stuck at that age socially. You may grow up, but as far as social skills, you get stuck at that age. So if you started, let's say, using at 16, you may be 32, but socially, you're still socially handling things at a 16-year-old. That's a rough thing to say to grown men, but that's where we are. And so sometimes we don't know what society expects from us, how we're supposed to treat a woman sometimes, how to treat each other, how to talk to each other, how to communicate. Some of those things we lost because we're too busy in our addiction, too busy selling, too busy buying, not going to school. If we did go to school, it was all about seeing who we could hustle, either make some money so we can buy or so we can sell, and or too busy drinking. And so we also want to teach social skills and build a better person. Like you were saying, they were giving away the suits. The suit's fine. Wearing a suit's great. You also need to work on who you put in that suit. And one of the lessons we teach, I gave you kind of a sample of the lessons that we teach. It's a spiritual program with a practical program. And so see here, there's two lessons here. One of them is our practical lesson, and the other one's a spiritual lesson that we would teach. 21 undeniable truths. That's more of a spiritual lesson that we teach. And then what every authority wants for you is more of a practical. I'm debating which way to go, which lesson to teach on. I know he said I was going to teach on drugs, but maybe another time I can come back and I do that. I'd be better prepared. I can take some questions on addictions if you want later on. Mrs. Calloway said make sure that we left time for some questions, and I'll do that. I'll teach a little bit here. And then if you come to RU, we do it a little different. You get around, everybody gets a little say, talk about whatever they want to talk about. Today we'll just say if there's any questions, just raise your hand or blurt it out, and we'll go from there, okay? I think I'm going to teach what every authority wants from you, okay? Now, there's another section here about employees, and that's what employers, that's kind of what I'm talking about today on this, is what authority wants from you as far as your boss, where you work, if you're married, your wife, no. What it is that people that are in charge of you want from you. How I came up with this lesson, I told you before, I used to hire and fire, and had a guy tell me one time, he just flat out looked at me, because I'd catch him and he's sitting down reading a magazine, right? Say, hey, get to work. Or he'd go in the bathroom and read a magazine, or I'd be catching it. One time I caught him asleep, laying down in the back, just asleep. Say, hey, get up, go to work. Finally he looks at me and he goes, what do you want from me? And that has always stuck in my head, Some people don't understand when you get hired or you're with somebody who has authority on you, what they expect from you. Because we never get told, or we just assume people know, or again, we might be stuck in a certain age again because of our addiction, and we've never functioned that way before. Some of us being men, and some of you know this, nobody tells me what to do. I'm a man. I'm a grown man. I do what I want. That's fine, and it sounds macho and everything, but that's difficult to keep a job with, that kind of attitude. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Sometimes we make ourselves unemployable, or we make ourselves unable to keep a job because of our own attitude. Okay? So, number one, be considerate. Be considerate. When speaking to anybody in authority position, be considerate. You're never going to get very far by cussing at your boss. You're not. I mean, I've seen men that had bosses that were women and call her the B word. That's going to go over great, right? later on when it's time for promotion, she's going to remember that. Or later on, if she's got 10 employees, corporate tells her she can only afford 9, which one's she going to remember called her the B? That's the one that's going to go. See, a lot of what I'm giving you is for your own benefit. And so, be considerate. Remember, too, tonight, your boss goes home and they have a family and they have kids. And they want to go home in a good mood, too. And they want to go home feeling like they're worthwhile also. I know a guy one time that was yelling at his boss and told him that he didn't know the difference between apple butter and poop. He didn't know that. That's how dumb you are. You think the boss went home feeling great about his day that day? And so, be considerate whenever you deal with authority, whatever the authority is. You don't have to like them. I'm not asking you to. And I'm not saying that you're not maybe smarter than them or more qualified. You may be. I've had jobs like that, where the person above me was actually younger than me, and I knew more, but I still had to be considerate to them as my boss because of the position. One of the things that makes me really angry, and I get in trouble on the internet every once in a while, and I'm just throwing it out here, but and some people say, well, Obama, he ain't my president. So really? What country you live in? You live in the United States. That's your president. Respect him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with him. But you respect him as a man and his position, and you be considerate. And that's all we have to do with authority. Be considerate, okay? And in the long run, it helps you. You want to keep your job. You want to move up in your job. You don't get to keep your job. You don't get to move up in your job if you're not considerate to your boss. Okay? Or those in authority. Number 2, do as you're told. Do as you're told. You may know a better way. You've probably done the same. Let me tell you a story. I used to work in the factory, and I even got up to supervisor. But before that, I worked on this one machine for 6 years. Same machine every day. I came in, did the same thing every day. Now, I know they get monotonous, but who knew that machine better than me? Nobody. Nobody. It's like a woman. I knew when she was sick. I could, just by the sound of it, I say, hey, something ain't right with my machine. I knew when she was cranky. I know that sounds weird, but it's like, oh boy, she mad today. She ain't gonna work. Okay? I knew all about my machine. We got this new engineer. She came in. It was a girl, but she came in. She's messing with my machine. I'm looking at her. I said, what you doing? She goes, I'm doing this. I'm improving it. I said, no. As soon as I push that button, it's going to come down and break my die. That's a few $1,000s. She goes, you run it. Okay. I said, no, I can't do that. It's going to break. I know my machine. Finally, my supervisor come by and says, what's wrong, Mike? I said, she's messing with my machine and she wants me to run it. I said, when that press comes down, it's going to break my die. He went to her and he said, if he presses that button, Mike says it's going to break the die. Now, Mike's ran this machine for 6 years. Every day, 8 to 12 hours a day. If he says it's going to break the die, odds are it's going to break the die. Woman says, no, we should run it. It'll be all right. Boss looks at me and says, run it. I knew better, but my boss told me to do it. So I did it. Came down. Anybody guess what happened? Busted that die. $4,000 or $5,000. 3 or 4 days it took to replace it. Okay? But I did what I was told. I explained myself. I didn't get angry. I didn't cuss anybody. But in the end, I did what I was told. That's what authority wants from you, to do what you're told. You don't have to agree. You may even have a legitimate complaint. Now, when you speak to them and you speak to them in a considerate way and still tell your complaint, and they still tell you to do it, you still do it. You do what you're told. That's what authority wants from you. Believe it or not, doing what you're told benefits you. I didn't get in trouble when my machine broke. Okay? That was on my boss and the engineer. I did what I was told. The company came out and said, Mike, what happened? I told him what happened. I never heard anything again. Now, she got fired. She got fired. But I didn't. I did what I was told. I did what my boss told me to do. There you go. Number 3, be mindful what you're doing. When you go to work or you're put in a position to do something, be focused on what you're doing. You're there to do a job. Do your job. And be focused and into that job. Now I know there's times life gets stressful and your mind might be more worried about a daughter that might be sick or a wife that's sick or a grandma. And there's going to be times like that. If there are times like that, it'll be rare and somebody will come to you and say, hey, you okay? Because you don't seem focused. I don't care if you're working at McDonald's. You be focused on flipping those hamburgers. Nobody flips hamburgers better than you. I'm the greatest hamburger flipper there ever was. If they tell me to go clean the dumpsters, nobody cleans dumpsters better than I do. Be focused on your job. You're there to do a job, okay? A lack of focus is harmful. People get hurt when you're not focused. Especially if you're driving a forklift. I don't know how many times I've seen guys not paying attention what they're doing in the factory, run into people. It happened to me once. I knocked somebody down with a forklift. I was paying more attention to my music than I was my job, and I hit somebody. And I got into a lot of trouble. All right? Be focused. Be mindful of what you're doing. That's what they want. That you're paying attention, you're focused on what you're doing. I want to be, as a boss, as a supervisor, I want to be able to give you a job to do and be able to walk away and know why. You can do it. You'll do it. To the best of your ability, you'll do it. I don't want to have to come back and check on you, or I don't want to have to come in and finish it. Then why do I have you? Right? Okay? Number 4, be on time. That's what every authority wants from you. If it says to be there at 9 o'clock, now listen to me and pay close attention. Don't show up at 9 o'clock. You are late. You know how I know you're late? Because you're going to take at least 5 minutes to get ready, to get on your line, or get your uniform on, or this or that, or comb your hair, or go to the bathroom, and you just wasted 5 to 10 minutes of my time. I paid you 5-10 minutes to do nothing. Now you got to remember, people are in business to make money. That's why they're in business. Now if I make money, you make money, we all make money, we're all happy. But if you're taking away from my ability to make money, that hurts. So show up at least 5 to 10 minutes before, at least. I like to show up at least 15 minutes before. And then I get my uniform on, I get all straightened up, I get my act together, I put my stuff in my locker, and I get back and I'm ready to work. At 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go. You don't have to look for where Mike is. He's on his line. All right? Be on time. I have gotten rid of good employees, good workers who could not be on time. They just couldn't do it. 15, 20 minutes late. Now, while they were there, they were awesome. And I'd sit down with them, I explained to them, and I'd talk to them. Hey, 20 minutes late. Can't be. Just can't be. And they just couldn't do it. And I had to keep somebody who was a less of an employee who could show up on time, could be there, could be dependable. All right? So be on time. An unconcern for the authority's time is never helpful. That tells me you're not concerned about my time. You're not concerned about me. And so, again, my authority comes down and says, you got 10 employees, you only need 9. Who am I looking at getting rid of? The guy's never here on time. That's the guy I'm looking to get rid of. You want to keep yourself employable. You want to keep yourself to get another job. If I did have to get rid of you, I say, hey, this is all about numbers, okay? I need to get rid of you. You go someplace, you can use me for a reference. I don't say that a whole lot because I can't. So what you do is you keep yourself employable. Even if they do need to lay me off or get rid of me, man, you go someplace else. You can put me down for a reference. See what I'm saying? Be on time. Here's another important one. Address authority appropriately. By name, title, or their request. It shows respect. It shows respect. And it also breeds respect among the company. Now, if you don't know what to call them, ask them. They'll tell you. Some people say, hey, don't call me boss. Don't call me John. Or call me Rick. I can call him Rick now. Why? He gave me he gave me the permission. If he says, hey, while we're at work, you call me Mr. Smith. What should I call him? Mr. Smith. Because that's what he asked me to call him. Where I am right now, I work in a church. I'm an assistant pastor, and I like to be called Michael. I don't like Mike that much. It makes me sound like a little boy. Mike and Mikey. I like Michael. I'm a man. I made that mind up when I was like 16. I'm a man. I want to be Michael. There's a lady at our church that even told me flat out, I'll never call you Michael. And she calls me Mike all the time. Just to disrespect me. If you do that to your boss, you don't call them the right title. Hey, you. Again, you're on my radar, not my good radar. Okay? Especially in the economy we have right now, and you want to keep a job, and they're constantly possibly looking for ways to get rid of people. You don't want to make it easy. And so, show them the respect by naming them by the title that they have. Even out there, if they're wearing a blue suit and they have sirens on, they're officer. They're officer. Okay? Show them respect. They're Mrs. So-and-so. Watch what you call those in authority. Address them appropriately. Number 6, be part of solutions. If you're not part of solutions, then you're part of the problem. Something happens, and you may not have been involved, you may be involved. But say, hey, here, I don't know, let's say something spilled. Say, hey, I'll go get the mop, I'll get some water, I'll mop this up. You're solving a problem. You're being part of the solution. Or if you sit back and you're just laughing about it, and pointing at it, and getting people to come over and say, hey, look, did you see what happened? Are you being part of the solution? No, you're creating even more of a problem. Because now you've even pulling people away from work to look at the problem. Be part of the solution. Boss says, we're having a problem with this. Has a meeting, says, we're having a problem with this. Say, hey, I can take that on, or we can take that on, or this is what we could do to help. Okay? Try to always look where you can be part of the solution, not part of the problem. All right? This goes back to do what you're told, too. I remember when I was working in the factory, and I used to park in the front parking lot, and I'd go through the front door and turn left, and right there was my line. It was so good. I'd clock in, go right to my line. Well, they built another parking lot way in the back. And they said, from now on, this parking lot in the front is just for management. Everyone else has to park over here. And you got a red tag and a green tag. And so happened I got a green tag. My green tag, I had to park way back there. All the other guys were saying, they ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't gonna park back there. Because you had to walk all the way across the factory to get to our line. I ain't gonna park there. Day came, we were supposed to separate. Nothing happened. See, ain't gonna do nothing. They sent a note out. Starting next week, if you don't park where you're supposed to, we're gonna tow your car away. They ain't gonna tow no cars. My car ain't getting towed. So I did what I was told and tried to be part of the solution, okay? Be a part of the team. And I parked where I was, even though it was so inconvenient for me. One morning, all of a sudden, some guy come running through the factory. They're towing cars! They're towing cars! I mean, going crazy. Went outside, and there's like 15, 20 tow cars. pulling, tow trucks, pulling cars out. They told them. Now they even created even more of a problem because everybody's coming off their line to see what's going on. Everyone's all upset. Be part of the solution. Just do what you're told or offer other suggestions. I'm here. I'm part of the team. This is what I can do. Or if I see a problem, fix it. Fix it. Mop it. Clean it. Okay? Be part of the solution. Number 7. Be dependable. Be dependable. Here you go.
Thank you.
Be dependable. An unreliable person appears unprofessional, disorganized, and ineffective. If I can't depend on you, then you'll hear the words unprofessional. If I can't depend upon you, then it makes it look like you're not an organized person because you can't organize your life enough to be dependable. You come to work,